Welcome to the Cat Addicted Podcast. I'm your host, and today we're doing another deep dive. This time, it's all about something we deal with every day, optimizing your cat's, well, dining experience.
It's great to be here. And yeah, dining experience might sound a bit formal, but honestly, the details around how you feed your cat, the bowls, the water, they're surprisingly important for their health and just, their overall happiness.
Absolutely. We all do the basics, fill the bowl, top up the water, but there's clearly more to it. So the goal today is to really pull out those key insights that can make a difference for you and your cat based on your expertise.
Exactly. It's really about looking at it all from the cat's point of view,
Yeah.
understanding their instincts, how they naturally behave, and maybe how our modern setup sometimes, well, clash with that.
Okay, let's start right at the beginning then. The bowl itself seems simple, right? But I hear it's not just about aesthetics, something about whiskers.
Oh, whiskers are a huge deal. They're technically called vibrissae, and they're incredibly sensitive. Think of them like finely tuned radar. Cats use them for navigating, feeling air currents, checking if they can fit into spaces.
So super important sensory tools.
Precisely. Now imagine constantly bumping that sensitive radar against something hard. That's what happens when a cat tries to eat from a deep, narrow bowl. Their whiskers get pushed back, bent against the sides.
Ouch.
Yeah, it causes discomfort. People call it whisker fatigue or whisker stress. It's genuinely irritating for them, and it can make them stressed about eating or even reluctant to approach the bowl.
So it's not just a minor thing. It could actually put them off their food.
It absolutely can. Or they might eat really fast just to get it over with, or develop anxiety around meal times.
Okay, so if deep and narrow is out, what's the ideal bowl design? What should we be looking for?
Think wide and shallow, more like a small plate or a platter than a traditional bowl. This lets them get their face right to the food without their whiskers constantly hitting the edges. It just respects their anatomy.
Makes sense. And probably sturdy too, right? For those cats who like to investigate their bowl a bit forcefully.
Oh, definitely. It needs enough weight or maybe a non-slip base so it doesn't go skidding across the floor during an enthusiastic meal. Or, when they paw at it.
Right. So shape is key. What about the material? Plastic bowls are everywhere. They're cheap. Are they okay?
This is a big one. Based on what I see, plastic is, well, it's problematic. It's porous, you see.
Porous, meaning?
Meaning it scratches really easily. And those tiny scratches, even microscopic ones, become breeding grounds for bacteria. Even if you wash it, it's very hard to get plastic truly clean and sanitized down in those little crevices.
And that bacterial buildup, that can cause problems.
It certainly can. That bacteria can irritate their skin, especially around the chin area. It's a common cause of feline chin acne, those little blackheads or bumps under their chin.
Wow, chin acne from a food bowl. I had no idea.
Yep, the plastic bowl is often the culprit.
Okay, so plastic is maybe not the best choice. What materials do you recommend then?
You want something non-porous and easy to sanitize properly. Ceramic is great. Think of your own good quality dishes. Smooth, easy to clean. Stainless steel is fantastic. Very hygienic, very durable. Glass is another good option for the same reasons. They just don't harbor bacteria the way porous plastic does.
Okay, so wide, shallow, sturdy and ceramic, stainless steel, or glass. Got it. What about where we put the bowl? Does location matter beyond just what's easy for us?
Oh, location is surprisingly critical. Remember, cats are predators, but they're also prey animals in the wild. When they're eating, their head is down, they're focused, they feel vulnerable.
Right, they need to feel safe.
Exactly. They want to be able to see what's coming, maybe have a clear escape route, putting their bowl in a high-traffic hallway or next to a noisy appliance, or somewhere they can be easily startled from behind that can cause stress. They might eat less or bolt their food down.
So a quiet corner, maybe where they can see the room.
That's usually ideal. Somewhere they feel secure and can eat in peace.
Okay, bowl sorted, location sorted. Let's switch to water. Cats have this weird thing, don't they? Trying to drink from dripping taps?
Yeah.
Or, dare I say it?
Yeah.
The toilet? Why do they do that?
Huh! Yes, the infamous toilet drinker. It all ties back to their wild instincts again.
Survival stuff.
Pretty much. In nature, standing water like a puddle can be stagnant. It might have bacteria, parasites, maybe contamination from something decomposing nearby. Running water, like a stream, signals freshness and safety to them.
So even with clean tap water in a bowl, the moving water is more appealing instinctively.
Precisely. That instinct is hardwired. It's why something as simple as getting a cat water fountain can make a huge difference in how much they drink. It mimics that natural, safer, moving water source.
So if your cat's constantly bugging you at the sink, a fountain might be a really good investment.
Absolutely. One of the best things you can do for their hydration. And speaking of water location, here's another fascinating instinct. Cats often prefer their water to be separate from their food.
Separate. Wow.
Again, think wild instincts. If they catch prey near a water source, that water could get contaminated. So for hygiene, they'd naturally keep their eating area and their drinking area apart.
So putting the food and water bowls right next to each other, which most of us do.
Can actually discourage some cats from drinking as much. Even if the water is perfectly clean, it just feels instinctively wrong or potentially unsafe to them.
Wow, that's such a simple fix. Just move the water bowl a few feet away.
It can make a real difference for a lot of cats. Seriously.
Okay, fascinating. So bowls and water are covered. Let's talk feeding itself. We tend to think, 1 or 2 meals a day, maybe leave dry food out constantly. Is that actually how cats are designed to eat?
Not really, no. Cats evolved as hunters of small prey, mice, birds, insects. This means their natural feeding pattern is multiple small meals spread throughout the day and night.
Ah, the dawn and dusk hunters.
Exactly. They're crepuscular, most active then, but they'll hunt whenever the opportunity arises. Their digestive system is geared for frequent, small amounts of food, not 1 or 2 big feasts. So restricting them can go against their biology.
What happens if they're restricted and get super hungry?
Well, often when the food finally does arrive, they absolutely inhale it, especially dry food.
Right, the scarf and barf.
Precisely, that dreaded scarf and barf. They eat too fast, the dry kibble then expands in their stomach as it absorbs moisture, and, well, it often comes right back up because there's just too much too quickly.
Not fun for anyone involved.
Okay.
So if small and frequent is better, what's a good schedule look like?
Ideally, you'd aim for maybe 4 to 6 small portions spread over a 24-hour period. And yes, that includes overnight. They're often active then. This is where automatic feeders can be incredibly useful. They can dispense controlled portions at set times, even while you're asleep.
Becoming a sort of meal manager.
That's a great way to put it. And getting those portions right is obviously crucial for weight.
Yeah, obesity in cats is a huge issue, isn't it?
It's massive. It leads to so many serious health problems: diabetes, arthritis, liver disease. It shortens their lifespan. So delivering those measured small portions tailored to your cat's actual calorie needs is fundamental for their long-term health.
Frequent, small, measured meals. Got it. And bowl cleaning. How often is really necessary? Is a quick rinse okay?
For wet food, it's non-negotiable. You need to wash that bowl thoroughly with soap and hot water after every single meal.
Every single time.
Every single time. Even tiny bits of leftover wet food are perfect breeding grounds for bacteria. At room temperature, that bowl can get pretty nasty pretty fast, even if it looks clean.
Okay, point taken. What about dry food bowls?
They need regular washing, too, at least daily. Saliva, food oils, dust, it all builds up. And beyond just the germs, remember how sensitive a cat's nose is? They can smell stale food odors from yesterday's meal, even if we can't. That alone can put them off eating from a bowl that seems fine to us.
So clean bowls are about hygiene and smell. Makes sense. Treat their dishes like our own.
Exactly. It's a basic part of caring for them.
Right. Now, let's dive into the food itself. The pet food aisle is overwhelming. Dry, wet, raw, freeze-dried. Where do you even start?
It absolutely can be. I call it the great cat food landscape. So many choices, so many claims, it's tough to navigate.
Okay, let's break it down. Dry food, kibble. You see terms like economy, premium, super premium, holistic. What's the actual difference? Is it just marketing?
Often, no, there are real differences. Generally, these tiers reflect the quality of the ingredients, especially the protein source. Cats are obligate carnivores, right?
Meaning they need meat.
They absolutely need meat. Their bodies are designed for it. Higher quality foods, the super premium or holistic types, tend to prioritize named meat sources like chicken, turkey, fish. High up on the ingredient list, they usually have more digestible animal protein per cup.
So they get more nutrition from less food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They feel satisfied with smaller portions. Cheaper economy foods often rely more heavily on plant-based proteins and fillers like corn, wheat, or soy, which are just less biologically appropriate for a cat.
So reading the label is key. What should we look for? Like detective time.
Label detective, yes. The first 5 ingredients are the most crucial. They make up the bulk of the food. You want to see specific meat sources listed first. Chicken, deboned salmon, turkey meal, good signs. Be wary of vague terms like meat byproducts right at the top without knowing what meat.
Okay, meat first. What else?
Look at the guaranteed analysis for protein content. You generally want to see protein above 30%, and ideally that protein comes mainly from those animal sources. Grains or other fillers should be further down the list, or perhaps it's grain-free. But the amount of grain matters less than ensuring the primary protein is meat.
Avoid artificial stuff, too.
Definitely. Avoid artificial colors, flavors, and chemical preservatives like BHA, BHT, ethoxyquin, propylene, glycol. Also, look out for excessive fillers like cellulose, which is essentially wood pulp, or lots of yeast high up the list.
Meat first. High protein, low fillers, no artificial junk.
Got it. And you mentioned earlier that dry food expands. Yes, that's super important to remember. Kibble is very dry, maybe 10% moisture. When it hits the stomach's moisture, it swells up, sometimes doubling in size. If a cat has scarfed down a large amount quickly,
It leads to discomfort, bloating, and maybe that scarf and barf.
exactly. It really underscores why smaller, more frequent meals of kibble are generally better, rather than one big bowl full.
Okay, so quality kibble, small portions. What about wet food? It seems really popular now. Main benefit.
Hydration. Hands down, the biggest plus. Remember, cats evolved in deserts, low thirst drive. They're designed to get most of their water from their food. Prey is about 70% water.
And dry food is only 10%.
Right, so a cat on a dry-only diet can easily exist in a state of chronic, low-level dehydration, and that contributes hugely to very common serious issues like kidney disease and urinary tract problems.
So wet food, being around 70–80% moisture, directly helps combat that dehydration risk.
Precisely. It's much closer to their natural hydration intake. It's probably the single most important reason I recommend incorporating wet food, ideally as the foundation of their diet. Plus, the aroma and texture are often very appealing, great for picky eaters or seniors.
Makes sense. How should we handle wet food? Any special serving tips?
Yeah, a few things. Serve it at room temperature if possible. Cold food isn't as appealing. Maybe take it out of the fridge 15–20 minutes before serving. And crucially, don't leave it sitting out for hours.
Bacteria risk again.
Big time. Wet food spoils quickly. Aim to pick up any uneaten portion after maybe 30 to 60 minutes max. Store leftovers covered in the fridge and use them within a day or two. For finicky cats, smaller portions offered more often works best.
Okay. What about this other category, freeze-dried food? What's the deal there?
Freeze-dried is interesting. It's typically raw meat that's had the moisture removed through freezing without using heat. This process is great at preserving the nutrients, the enzymes, the natural flavor of the raw ingredients.
So it's like raw food, but shelf-stable. Is it a treat or a full meal?
Many are formulated as complete and balanced meals. Absolutely. Not just treats. They offer a very protein-dense, minimally processed option that's much closer to what a cat might eat naturally.
How do you serve it? Just dry?
You can serve the little nuggets dry, maybe as a high-value treat or crumbled over other food. But ideally, especially if using it as a main meal, you rehydrate it with some warm water.
Ah, bringing the moisture back.
Exactly. That's key. Rehydrating adds back that crucial moisture, enhances the aroma, and gives it a softer texture many cats prefer.
Are there downsides? Cost, maybe.
Cost is usually higher, yes, compared to kibble or even many canned foods. And like anything, some cats might be picky about the texture or taste at first, but it can be a really excellent middle ground, offering high protein and moisture without necessarily going fully raw.
So dry, wet, freeze-dried.
Right.
Can you combine them? Is mixed feeding okay?
Mixed feeding can be a great approach. You can potentially get benefits from different types, maybe some dental effect from crunching good kibble, the vital hydration from wet food, perhaps freeze-dried as a topper for extra protein.
Is there a right way or wrong way to mix?
The one big rule, in my experience, is don't mix wet and dry food together in the same bowl at the same time.
Ah, soggy town.
Exactly. Soggy town. It gets unappealing fast, texture goes weird, and it spoils quicker. The best way is to feed them separately. Maybe wet food for one or two specific meals and then have a measured amount of quality dry food available at other times, perhaps dispensed by that automatic feeder we talked about.
Keep them distinct. Makes total sense.
Mm.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot, from the actual bowl shape, material, location, to water instincts, feeding frequency, why they shouldn't gorge, bowl hygiene, and then navigating all the food types. Kibble quality, wet foods hydration power, freeze-dried options, and how to mix properly. It's way more involved than just pouring something in a dish.
It really is, isn't it? But when you start looking at it through the lens of the cat's biology, their natural instincts, all these details start to make perfect sense. My bottom line always is this. The best food is the one that keeps your cat healthy and thriving. fits within your budget, and importantly, is something your cat will actually eat.
No point buying the perfect food if they turn their nose up at it.
Exactly. But making informed choices helps you find that sweet spot. And thinking about quality food as well as preventative medicine.
Right. Investing up front might save on vet bills later.
Absolutely. High-quality nutrition can help prevent or manage so many chronic health issues down the line. If decoding labels feels like too much, opting for reputable brands known for meat-first, low-filler formulas is often a pretty good shortcut.
It really drives home how these seemingly small details in their daily routine can have such a big impact on their well-being, doesn't it?
They really do. It's about respecting who they are as a species and setting up their environment, even just their feeding station, in a way that supports their health and comfort.
It's fascinating stuff. Really makes you think differently about that daily ritual.
It does, and it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If we pay closer attention to these food-related instincts, how might observing their other natural behaviors, like their need to climb,
Yeah.
or their specific ways of playing, or how they communicate, help us understand and improve other parts of their lives, too?
That's a brilliant thought to end on. Looking at everything they do through that lens of natural instinct.
Gives you a new perspective.
It really does. Thank you so much for sharing all this fantastic insight today. It's certainly given me, and I'm sure everyone listening, a lot to consider and maybe tweak at home for our own cats.
It was my pleasure. Happy feeding, everyone.